So my name is Chris Stein. I work for Gensco. Been here for a little over 5.5 years. And I am the high efficiency specialist and Mitsubishi ESG for the Mountain and the Eastern Washington. We're going to be going over addressing an additional refrigerant card. We get quite a few calls through the tech line for additional refrigerant and addressing. And hopefully everybody on here is familiar with Diamond System Builder. We're going to be seeing that here in a little bit. Everybody should be using that and putting a system together to make sure that everything works together. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about addressing first. So, one of the #1 problems on new startups, either city multi or smart multi, anything that requires an address, is addressing. The second issue is wiring. Wiring things around terminals, whatever the case may be. All right, so why do we address? Why do we address? Well, imagine if everybody's house number was on the same. Where would your mail go? It goes somewhere on your street. You don't know where. So we address equipment so that we know who is calling for what. Somebody's calling for heating, thing. It knows who to send the return. Okay. Okay, so next we have city multi-address ranges. This can be found if you've been to our presentation. This is in the book that we get during the class. So indoor unit address ranges are 1 through 50. And we have outdoor unit addresses are 51 to 100. Now, you'll see here in a minute that there's only 2 dials on there, so we can't go to 100 manually. It will auto address. If you do not set the addressing, it will auto address. Fortunately, with City Multi and down, you're getting the address error. So I recommend that you set your addressing before you even power up the outdoor unit, because the first thing that happens when you power up the outdoor unit is it goes to look to see what's connected to it. So if you have all your addressing first, you don't have to shut the outdoor unit down for 30 minutes or you wait 2-2 or 5-2 their connection history. So moving on to our main BC, that address range is 52 to 100. So you'll see in parentheses down here, it says lowest indoor unit plus 50. So that is your, you have an outdoor unit and your lowest indoor unit starts at address 5 because you have multiple on the job. Your outdoor unit is going to be 55. Back in the day here, like, I don't know, 2 years ago, when you called in, they would say set your outdoor unit at 55 and the branch box for M&P series equipment at 11. Well, Mitsubishi says no longer do that because that is incorrect. So it is your
To check your speaker, please make sure your speaker is properly connected.
Plus 50 will be the address of your outdoor unit. So city multi-systems, you have your main BC, again 52. It's consecutive with the outdoor, plus 1. We have our sub BCs, which are going to be 53 to 100. The lowest indoor unit connected to that sub plus 50. And then we have our smart ME controllers. It says 101 to 150. What that means, you'll look at that. There are 2 address dials, which you'll see here shortly. You can't set 100. It automatically puts a 100 in front of the number that you set. So the sub MEs, you add 50 to the first ME controller. So as you see there, it says 150 to 200. Right there. So we have 150 to 200. So indoor unit plus 150. So that's the lowest indoor unit that controller is controlling. And then our central controllers, it says 000. That's what it comes out of the box set at. If you have multiple on a big building, you will address your central controller. Multiple central controllers with the same address as well. Not what address. Moving on. So this is the dial configuration for the city multi indoor units. You have 3 dials. One of them is labeled SW14, which is your port assignment. Okay, that goes to your branch box. This is on city multi systems. You will set this if it is an R2 system. R2 means heat recovery, which is you have a branch box. So on here, you can faintly see we have numbers 0 through 9 on the bottom, and then it starts with a letter A, B, C. The reason they do that is because that dial is not big enough to put 10, 11, 12, all the way up to 16. So 0 is port 16 if you have a 16 port branch box with that unit hooked to it. Otherwise, A is port 10, B is port 11, so on and so forth. The other 2 dials have our SW12 and SW11. That sets your address for that particular piece of equipment. Now, everything needs to have an address, so she's talking, right? So SW12, it says tens. SW11, it says 1. What does that mean? We're going to see that very shortly. Try and explain that to you so you better understand. So this is a picture of our outdoor unit on some of our older units, and then does not look like this. So you will see right here SW1, SW2, that is for your address. Down below it says 1s and 10s. So we have SW1, SW2, 52 to 100. So that would be on a branch box, right? Because that starts at address 2. Address of the indoor unit plus 1 would be the address of your DC. So 52 to 99. DC controller. You think they get this screwed up? Oh, that's for your branch box. For your branch box controller again. So this would be port 4 on your branch box and address 04 for your indoor unit. Indoor unit, again, you have SW14, which is right here, SW12, which is your 10th digit, SW11 is your first digit. We have our outdoor unit right here. So SW2, SW1, 10th digit on SW2, first digit SW1. So your outdoor unit, your OS, your main, right? You set that in sequence. Your OS comes after your OC. So if your OC is 51, your OS is 52, your branch box should be 53. Now here is the Smart ME controller. Under the cover, you will see these 2 little dials. And you can see faintly here, we have an X10 and we have an X1 right down here. This is your 10s digit. This is your 1s digit. These little plastic dials in the center here is what you turn. Now, when you go to turn those, use a small screwdriver. Even some of the thermostat screwdrivers are too big, so make sure you get something that fits in there correctly. Because after a while, if you use the incorrect thermostat, what happens, you see that we have an arrow here. If you try to jam a thermostat in there or a regular screwdriver in there, it wears that down and you can't really see which end is which. So when you're turning them as well, make sure that they go into the groove. You'll feel the little click. I had one of these on a startup one time that was in between the clicks and it wasn't showing up on my maintenance tool. It took a little while to find it. So make sure that it's in the groove when you turn those. Again, your master is going to be addressed at the lowest unit that it's controlling. If you have a sub on that same group, you will add 50. So if it was controlling unit 1 and you had a sub, your second one would be 51. That would make it a sub controller for that unit. Here, here we have a picture of the smart multi outdoor unit. Now, the smart multi outdoor units come out of the box as an S series, as a PUMI. If you are using a branch box with a smart multi, meaning you have MP series indoor units, we're going to make sure that you turn on SW2 switch number 5 to tell it that it has a branch box connected to it. It operates the LEDs differently. So if you're using a branch box, make sure you turn on SW2-5. The addressing dials up and to the left of all your dip switches. Again, second digit labeled SWU2, first digit labeled SWU1. So when we look at this address configuration, this tells me that this outdoor unit is address 51. We have our 8-segment display down here. Get information off of depending on your SW1 dip switches. So we can see our pressures, we can see thermistor values, all that kind of stuff on our 8-segment display using our SW1 dip switches. So this is a picture of our branch box down in the Vancouver training room. You can see here that we have SW12 and SW11 rotary dials. So this branch box is set to 0, 1, meaning port A that we have turned on here tells us we have something connected to it. That is going to give that unit address 1. And then it will go consecutively according to which dip switches are turned on SW1. So with this being address 1, that gives port A address 1, port B address 2, port C address 3, so on and so forth. You have, we'll get to questions here at the end if you have questions. So now we're going to go into what the digits mean. What does the 12 for the SW12, the SW11 mean? So starting here, you guys can unmute yourself. Let's everybody unmute yourself. We're going to go over this. We're going to talk about this. So what do we have here?
$100.
Have $100. That is correct, sir. How do we know that that is $100?
It has a dollar symbol.
It does have a dollar symbol. You're absolutely correct, sir. So what happens? We have a dollar symbol, so we know that's $100 because of that. So what happens when we remove that? What are we left with?
100.00.
We are left with 100. That is correct. So how do we know that that's 100?
Decimal point.
At? How do we know that that's 100?
What's that? Decimal point.
We are looking at the decimal point. That is correct. So to the right of the decimal point, what are those called? What do we call them?
They're not significant digits. Significant digits.
So those are called fractions, right? Not a whole number.
Fractions.
We do not deal with fractions in addressing. So we get rid of those those fractions, and we're left with 100. So that 1 is in the which location, which spot?
The 100 spot.
That is the 100 slot, right? So 3 digits to the left of the decimal point is our hundreds column. So what's the second column to the left of the decimal point?
Our 10 spot.
That is our tens spot. That is correct. What is the first column to the left of the decimal point?
That's our 1 spot.
That is our ones column. That is correct. So what we have our tens, hundreds, and ones column to the left of our decimal point. So since we only have 2 dials on our equipment, we are only concerned with the first columns to the left of the decimal point. So the tens column will show up on your board written out as SW2, SW12, SWU2. So if we look at those and you get confused, if you cover everything up, so if you cover everything up, so the SW, the SW1, the SWU, if you cover those up, we're left with a 2, correct? It's an easy way to remember the second digit of the decimal point. It's also labeled as tens on the board, tenth, X10 on the ME controller, and 10 on some of the boards. So it all depends which type of unit you are working on as to what you will see on the board. Or second digit you can see. And then we move over to the ones column. There's our ones column, the first space
SW1.
of the decimal point. On the board, it will be labeled SW1, SW11, SWU1. Again, cover everything up with the last digit, and you're left with 1. That is the ones column, digit left with the decimal point. It is also labeled first digit, ones, X1 on the ME controller, and 1. That's the different annotations that you will see on different boards according to the digit. Here is an illustration from the M&P class on an addressing setup for a smart multi branch box system. So if everybody do me a favor, close your eyes and listen to what I'm going to say. Okay. The address, if you are using M&P series equipment on a smart multi, you have to have a branch box. Because M&P equipment does not have a metering device inside of the indoor equipment. The branch box is a place to hide the metering devices, or LEDs. So the address of the branch box is the lowest connected indoor unit to that branch box. So the address of the branch box is the lowest connected indoor unit to that branch box. So if we look at this, here you can open your eyes, look at the screen. So you'll see that we have our first branch box is always going to be address 01. Why? Because the first unit is going to be hooked to that branch box. So again, when you set that branch box address to 01, it's going to give port A address 1, port B is address 2, port C is address 3. We want to use those in succession, the ports on our branch box in succession. Mitsubishi doesn't like you skipping around. So Now, in this illustration, we just happen to have two branch boxes on this system, which you will daisy chain your wire from the outdoor unit, right, to your first branch box and then to your second branch box. Same with the power, we're powering it from the branch box. So we give the second branch box here address 404. Why is that?
Well, because it's the fourth indoor, the first indoor unit on the second branch box is unit 4.
That is,
So you start with the lowest number,
that is
address each branch box.
absolutely correct. So we've already used the first 3 units on the first branch box. So the fourth unit in that system is going to the second branch box. So we're going to address that branch box at 04. That will give port A. So you can see here by our SW1 dip switches that we have port A hooked up because SW1-1 in the branch box is turned on and SW1-2. So address 4 will be port A. Address 5 will be port B. Now, when you guys are putting these in, right, hopefully you're labeling the branch box as to which port goes to which unit, right? Whether it be living room, whether it's office, whatever, and also put on there how long your liquid line is going to that unit. Because if there's ever an issue, refrigerant leak, right, the only true way to charge our systems is by weight. And we figure our weight by our liquid line length, right? From the outdoor to the branch box, the other branch box, whatever it is, and then from the branch box to our indoor units. So please write that down. And also on your outdoor units, right, there's a spot behind this panel here for you to write all that information, what port A goes to, how long the line set is. So please have your guys, your installers, write down how much refrigerant they have to add to that system, because with our smart multi-units, the outdoor unit only comes with enough refrigerant for itself. Right, you can go 492 feet of piping on this thing, liquid line. They don't know how much piping you're putting in. So you don't write it down and your service guy or somebody else goes out there because there's a refrigerant leak. If nobody wrote that down inside of the outdoor units, they are going to have to spend half of their day trying to track down where the line set was ran if it was new construction, if they can't see it, right? And then figure out that length and do their calculation for the additional charge. But if it's already written down inside of the outdoor unit, they know what that charge is. Well, how many times they call us and nobody wrote it down? It's super simple. I tell people in my training class, write that down when you're installing it on 3 different pieces of paper. So if you lose the first 2, you still have 1 left. So please do that. So again, addressing outdoor 51, right? It's 50 above our lowest connected indoor unit, which is unit number 1. So we add 50 to that. That is the address of our outdoor unit. So on which dial would you set 5? The number 5. If you're looking at this address, which dial on the board would you set 5 on?
Your 10th spot.
Your 10th spot. That is labeled 10th digit. You can kind of see it right there, or SW12. That is your second digit to the left of the decimal point. So if we put our decimal point right there, right, we only deal in whole numbers. Your second digit or 10's digit would be the 5. And then your 1s or SW11 would be set to 1. That would make that outdoor unit address 51. Okay. So we have a little audience participation here. Why don't you guys unmute yourself? Let's have somebody else answer some of these questions. See some people on here who I've been to their place and taught, so don't be shy. So on this example here, we have 2 branch boxes, So if we look at the number of units on these, according to this example, what would be the address of our outdoor unit?
51.
I think somebody said 51.
It would be 51. Always going to be 51 on a setup like this. So we have address 51. Now, what is the address of our first branch box in this example?
01. You gotta speak up. 01.
01. Why? Because our first unit is hooked to that branch box. So that's going to be address 01. That is correct. So according to this example, what is the address of our second branch box?
04.
04. Why is that? Why is it 04?
It's the lowest port on the second branch box.
Well, it's not the lowest port, right? It's the lowest unit, right? So we have our first 3 units. We have our first 3 units on the first branch box. So the next consecutive unit here in line is 04. And we have 2. So we have 4 and 5 on here. So that would make lowest unit would be our address. So that is 04. Okay, very good. So in this example, what is the address of this branch box?
01.
01. Which ports are hooked up on this branch box? If you guys can see that.
1, 3, and 5.
1, 3, and 5. So A, C, and E ports are hooked up. Why? Because our SW1 dip switches are on for those ports, telling that system that it has something hooked to those ports. So it's going to give port A address 1, port C address 2, port E address 3. And it's helpful to know this because if you get a thermistor error on an indoor unit, you can actually go to the smart multi outdoor unit and manipulate the SW1 dip switches to see all 3 thermistors on those units if you know the address to those units. So very good. So we have our SW12 set at 0. And we have our SW11 set at 1. So our 10th digit and our 1's digit right there. And this branch box is address what?
Zero 04.
04. And we have ports 1, 3, and 5 hooked up as well. So A, C, and E. So that's going to give port A address 4, port C address 5, port E address 6. Okay. So you'll see right here in this picture that we have 2 LEDs right here on the branch box board. So one of these LEDs is lit up, they're amber in color. One of them is lit up anytime there's power to that branch box. It's lit solid. The other light will flash. And it flashes the number of times according to how many indoor units it sees. So according to what we have set up here, how many times should that light be flashing on there?
3 times.
3 times, because we have 3 units hooked to it, port A, C, and E. If you are only flashing 2 times, you better get your meter out and go check S2 and S3 on your branch box going to your indoor units, because it's not seeing what I've done. Very good. It's just a quick reference to make sure that that it's seeing all of your units. Now we are going to move on to the additional refrigerant charge. We get lots of calls on this. Hopefully everybody has a copy of the Gensco Tech manuals that we print up every year and send out. We updated December, I think, and April of this year. December last year, April of this year, the spiral bound tech manuals. That's the newest one. So, Diamond System Builder. If you are not using this, I highly recommend that you do. This just happens to be a smart multi-unit, smart multi 48. You can see up here at the top, right? What the Diamond System Builder does, when you put your equipment in here, it verifies that everything is compatible. And according to the design conditions that you set in the program, it gives you your BTU output, estimated BTU output at your design conditions. So blue is cooling, right? And then we have red is heating. It gives you an estimated discharge temperature of that. Service guys, you got any service guys on here and you have a PC, this does not, Mitsubishi programs do not work on Apple iOS products. A Windows-based laptop or computer. For service guides, you can go in and manually put in your design conditions and see what it tells you that you should be getting at that design at your temperature that it actually is when you're there. And you can do a BTU calculation on the indoor unit and verify right here whether it's doing its job or not. Okay, so it's pretty cool. So it verifies that everything works together. And it also gives you, who knows what that little green number is there?
Little green number.
Do you have anybody who knows what that little green number is next to the arrow right there? Well, I'm going to tell you. That is the address. So it will tell you what address to set that unit to. Well, it's going to give this that address, I should say, because this is a branch box system. So we're going to set that branch box at address what?
The first one, 01.
01, always 01. So if we look at this, what is our second branch box address going to be set at?
0605. I can't see it very well.
Okay, it's 06.
06.
What DSB did was it assigned these ports that are not used an address in case you come back and put a piece of equipment there. Right? So you don't have to readdress the system, which is pretty handy. So we've got all of our line set lengths in here. And so back up just 1 second. So we have our address there. That second number that you see in black there, that is the group. That is the group. So if you have a central controller or whatever, you put groups in your central controller to control it through the central controller. So the first digit is your address. The second number there is your group, and then you can add names to where they are. And they just put fan coil 1, fan coil 2, fan coil 3 on your units. So that's the information that you get. If you don't put names in there, nothing will appear. Okay. What Diamond System Builder also gives us is that guy right there. That's your additional refrigerant charge calculation according to the information that you have put in to Diamond System Builder. So the first thing we have here is our line length and how many elbows, how many bends. So between the outdoor unit and your T, we have 40 feet with 4 bends. Mitsubishi considers a bend less than a 4-inch radius. So what that does, according to how many bends you have in your line, it doesn't do anything for your refrigerant calculation here, but it decreases your BTU output. So if it is a 4-inch radius or more, so if you're sweeping it, that is not considered a bend. If you're using a hard tubing bender, then you're probably gonna have to put that down as a bend if it's less than a 4-inch radius. Okay, because again, it does affect your BTU output. So according to all of our lines lengths that we put in here, Diamond System Builder came up with your calculation at 14.72 pounds. So you were going to round up and add 15 pounds to that system. And then you are going to take your Sharpie on the inside of the panel for the outdoor unit, and you are going to write 15 pounds of additional refrigerant in there, please. Okay, so Diamond System Builder will do all this for you, your calculation, and verify that all of your equipment works together. Moving on to the next Diamond System Builder file here, we have a city multi, a Puria, an R2 system. So here's our BC. So the difference here is our BC, we have an address of our outdoor unit as 51. Our BC is address 52. Now, since our city multi-indoor units have our 3 address dials, SW14, right, SW11, and 12, we set our address on our indoor units. So this particular unit here in Office 101, SW12 would be left at 0 and SW11 would be set at 1. Now, it doesn't tell us here what port we are hooked to on the branch box. So that will need to be traced back, or hopefully they marked it on the BC as to which unit it goes to. And then you'll set SW14 on this unit to what port it's hooked to on the BC. So here's your addressing. Here's your group. If you have a central controller, you will put that in there. You'll put conference room as group 4, right? Office 103 as group 3. So we have address 9, 10, and 11 because it gave these a number just in case there's a tenant improvement or they decide to put another unit in. They don't have to go readdress the entire system. And here is our additional charge that we need to add to that system when we right before we start it up. Again, you have your BTU output calculations right there according to the information that you put in under the project properties design conditions tab. So now in the tech manual, that Gensco prints on page 26, and some it's different according to which manual that you have, but we have put in examples for calculating your additional refrigerant charge. Right here, you'll see ported type units. So our MXZC series, like a 2C, a 3C, all of those, they come from the factory. Now, they come from the factory pre-charged for 98 feet of liquid line, except for the 2C20 non-hyperheat. That is the only MXZC series that comes pre-charged from the factory for 131.2 feet. You can find that on the label for the outdoor unit. So in this example, we do not have a 2C20 feet. We have something other than that in the ported MXZ. So in this example, we have 188 feet total liquid line. Well, we come pre-charged for 98 feet, so we deduct that from the 188. We are left with 90 feet of liquid line that we need to calculate additional refrigerant for. So we take 90 feet times 0.21 ounces, which is 1.08 ounces divided by 5, because some units, not all, are 1.08 ounces for every additional 5 feet. So we divide that by 5, that gives us 0.216. That's the difference of 0.21 is 20. So 90 times 0.21, that leaves us with 18.9 ounces of additional refrigerant that we need to add to that system for it to work properly. We are going to round up to 19 ounces. The next example here in the middle is our branch box type system, our SM36, 42, and 48. So we take our 1/4-inch liquid line. In this example, we have 112 feet times 0.21. So our 1/4-inch adder, again, 0.21 ounces per foot. And then we have 125 feet of 3/8 liquid line. Now you are going to have 3/8 liquid line from your outdoor unit to your branch box, or branch box is, plus any indoor equipment. So in this example, we have 125 feet times 0.55. So on our 1/4-inch, we have a total of 23.52 ounces. On our 3/8, we have a total of 68.75 ounces that we need to add. But then you'll see here, we have to add for our indoor unit capacity. So you're going to go add all your 6s, 9s, 12s, 15s, 18s, 24s, 36s, 30s, whatever you have. You're going to add those up. And with whatever you come up with, you are going to have a flat adder for that head charge. So in this example, we have 42,000 BTUs connected to that. So that falls between our 28 to 54,000 BTUs. So you're going to add a flat 88 ounces. That's where that comes in. So we add all those up. That gives us 180.27 ounces. You're going to divide that by 16 to come up with pounds. Pounds. So that is 11.27 pounds. I would add 11.5 pounds. So these units of 36, 42, and 48 come with a factory charge in the outdoor unit of 10 pounds, 9 ounces. Again, that refrigerant that comes in that unit is only for that outdoor unit. You'll see on the very last example we have here, the MXZ SM60. We look carefully at this, our 1/4-inch pipe adder has changed from 0.21 to 0.29 ounces per foot. And our 3/8 has changed from 0.55 to 0.75 ounces per foot. Our head capacity adder has not changed. So in this example, we have 112 feet of 1/4-inch times 0.29 gives us 32.49 ounces. Our 3/8 liquid line, we have 125 feet times 0.75, giving us 93.75 ounces. And our head capacity we have hooked up to this is 60,000 BT, 66,000. So we are between our 55 and 78. So we have 106 ounces flat adder. That gives us 232.23 ounces. Divide by 16, that's 14.51 pounds. Round up to 15. That's what would be added to that system and right before you started it up. So you'll see here that the 5-ton comes with 11 pounds, 4 ounces from the factory.
Any question?
To the right here, this is what you will see on your Diamond System Builder when you put it in Diamond System Builder. It comes up with your additional charge. It also gives you information. Right here under quick results, we have indoor units. So by looking at this, you need a minimum 2 units on a multi-zone and up to 8. So this is either a 48 or a 60. Right now, this tells us we have 5 indoor units hooked to that system. The capacity we currently have hooked up, we are at 100% capacity. We have 48,000 BTUs hooked up to that system. We need a minimum of 24, and a maximum of 48. So it takes in all of our piping lengths. Now, a lot of people ask, so it says for this actual 55, but then it says for this equivalent 58.9. The difference between these, it takes into account your 90s, your bends. So it takes your longest length and puts the, the equivalent length. So it takes in again your liquid line and your bends. So the more bends you have, the higher this number is going to be. It adds like 0.9 feet for each bend that you have in that line. So again, we have our additional refrigerant adder right here, 7.6 pounds. I would add 8 pounds to that right in your outdoor unit.
I have a question.
Yes,
So is this for R410A refrigerant?
yes.
Is how much longer are the city multis or the Mitsubishi units gonna be coming out with R410A, and will all this change with the new refrigerants?
I have no information on that yet for that new refrigerant, what the difference in the adder would be. Now,
Okay.
we were going to start getting the new refrigerant here in January of 2025. Again, you have till the end of the year to put in 410A equipment. So that's all coming down the pipe. You guys can talk to your OSRs and they will have more information on that. But that is a great question. Thank you. I'm going to find out. I'm going to make some phone calls today to find out if that's going to affect the charge. I imagine that when you put it into Diamond System Builder and you select the units, of course, it's going to give you the correct charge if there is a difference by weight.
I'm guessing Mitsubishi is gonna be using R454B.
454 in the M&P series and City Multi, I believe, are doing too. To my recollection of what I've heard. So I guess we are going to have to put another calculation page in here in our tech manual if that amount does change. So one labeled 410A, the other labeled 450. So that is all that I have, short, sweet, and to the point. Again, we're here if you need us at tech support on the phones this week. So you guys have questions on additional charge and addressing, right? Please feel free to call. And if you don't have the Gensco Tech manuals, please get with your OSR and have them get you some, pass them out to the installers. Also on Gensco Customer, there are videos to watch on Diamond System Builder, and there's also one explaining the tech manual. Aaron, you raised your hand, sir. Let's go and see what you have. Chat. Okay. We can barely read. Well, that was 702. I hope they turn up the volume. Does anybody else having an issue hearing me?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Is there an app for this information? Unfortunately, there is no app for that. Are you referring to the additional refrigerant charge? I mean, I guess the app would be the computer program, Diamond System Builder. There is no addressing app. That is all done again through Diamond System Builder. So, no apps yet, unfortunately. They're working on some for troubleshooting, but I don't think for installation addressing additional charge. Any other questions? All right, no other questions. That's all I got. Hope you learned something. If you need something explained a little more later on, just feel free to give us a call.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.